It's Wednesday, April 10th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today on the third day of the week, we end up with a two down, kind of a greenish bar, a little bit neutral, but it did close green. We took out the low of the previous day, but closed green, and now we have an actionable signal back to the upside, a reversal signal. It's actually kind of a double reversal signal. If you want to, in other words, the last 3 days here, I've been judging that as kind of an inside day on its own, just these three together. And in a sense, if that's a one bar inside this big red bar, you get the 3, 1, 2 down, 2 up. So if this could be, break the high of today, tomorrow, then that's an actionable signal to the upside. Also, just if you look at the last bar on its own, this is a 3 bar from yesterday, a 3, 2 down, 2 up. So in other words, it took the expansion of yesterday, try to go lower, but now it's coming back through that range possibly. So a lot will depend on how things open. If we can get above that high tomorrow, that's an actionable signal to the upside. We'll see what develops. In terms of today, we knew we were gapping down big after the CPI number. That's between the blue lines was the pre-market range. Big drop after the CPI. Did come up a little bit as the market was starting to open. And you kind of knew, two things. Number one, you're at the bottom of a range, so you're going to have a strong breakout and start working toward these lows, follow through, or is it possible, as I've been discussing, I'm looking at all this inside price action and knowing this breakout could fail. And right out of the gates, you saw that the first bar was kind of green, then neutral, then it started up a little bit. So you certainly weren't getting the momentum of the downside to take out that pre-market low and maybe break out of that big, red bar. You took out that low, as it turned out, right out of the gates, and then you didn't follow through lower to start. So you were in a bit of conflict in the sense that, you're at the bottom of a big picture range, yet you're way below the midpoint of the prior day. According to my methodology, I like to, buy when I'm above the midpoint of a prior day. So to me, it would be a thing where, if you had a strong move up and took out the midpoint of this day, maybe you were going to go all the way back up there. But in the meantime, I was just thinking, all right, if this is going to not go down, I'd want to see how this day closes and wait for kind of Thursday and Friday to see if we get actionable signals. So it's not like I was excited to go long, even though I ended up buying NVIDIA down here, which I can show you in a second. But at the same time, there was nothing to get short on. If you wanted to look at this red, play a green to red move here, I think that's a little trick, in the sense that you're below the midpoint of the prior day and you're going to take out that low. It definitely did that. So you could have thought, about getting short here. But you also know, context-wise, you just took out that low. You're at the bottom of a big range. And, is it... What was the probability of testing that again? But again, if you did, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bars, and you eventually did take out the low of the day before kind of just stalling down here and really doing nothing. That's kind of my main takeaway from today. It was a nothing day. You're gapping down to the bottom of a big picture range. You didn't get the initial momentum breakout, so you just have to almost watch how this day forms and see if you get a reversal bar. So anyway, we get the actionable signal to the upside. We have to kind of see how things open tomorrow. If we can get the opening range somewhere, let's say hopefully the upper half of here and break out, then we see if we get a 2 up day, and that could be working all the way back up through this range. So we'll see if that unfolds. It's also possible this was kind of taking this out. We're just pausing here, and maybe we do head lower. Again, the weekly chart is red at the moment, so there's 2 days to go in this week. It's not as if I'm very aware of that, and maybe we just pause down here at our first target, which is a target, and if we want to head lower, we head to that target. So it's still what's interesting about this bar now is it sets us up nicely. If we head above it, then we're having that inside failure I looked about headed up. If we go below it, then it shows that this particular, the low of this red bar might be extending now to the bigger picture target. So I'm comfortable going either way. There's still a red bias a little bit on the week, and there's still a red bias on the month. And we're, an interesting thing too is we're below the halfway point of the month with that green line. And you can see here on the daily chart, if we head up tomorrow, we get back above that green line. So it's just kind of a probing the midway point of the prior month and maybe starting up. So tomorrow again, I can't predict what's going to happen, but I think either way is a good trade. And if we head up, we're going to go to back to the top of this range and eventually break above that monthly high of the previous month. I always have in mind. And if we head down, then maybe we're getting to we're just failing and we're going down to some of these levels. On the weekly chart, you can see the next target's down here, here. So we will see what happens. But today was kind of a nothing day, other than the fact, like I said, since you kind of didn't want to trade the SPY too much, you could look at individual stocks, and there were a lot of, Nvidia. I shot a video how I bought that. A lot of stocks too. That was another reason why I wouldn't necessarily have taken this green to red move. Too many stocks were strong. Nvidia was up. I was looking at Meta. That was up. I was buying it. I was looking at Coinbase. A lot of the stocks just were up, and I didn't get the sense you were going to get a big failure to the downside. So anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Today, obviously, gap down, which is exhaustion risk on its own. That's why it's tough to get momentum to the downside right out of the gates, even if it was going to develop. But in this case, it did move up, kind of try to go down and just held here. So this is an interesting small little bar that has a little bit of a reversal look to it if we can get above it tomorrow. And like I said, if we go below it, then I'm comfortable trying that as well. So we'll see what develops, in the rest of the week, while today really wasn't anything special on the index itself.